Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Before the start of tonight's regular meeting, the board met in executive session to discuss some matters of real estate. Are there any visitors or public comment tonight? I'd like to welcome back a lot of our Rogers Road neighbors. Welcome. Good to see you again. Good to have you. Missed you. Any comments from anybody here at this point? Okay. The next meeting of the Board of Supervisors is Tuesday, November 15th at 7 p.m. We're going to be closed on Tuesday, November 5th for Election Day and November 11th for Veterans Day. Pumpkin Fest 2013 is Saturday, October 19th at the Moravian Pottery and Tile Works from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. This year it is a half-day event on a Saturday. It includes, of course, the famous pumpkin carving and contest and an outdoor movie, Disney movie on a big blow-up screen for young people. So it should be a fun time. Autumn Birdwalk is October 26, 2013 at the Central Park Pavilion 1, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. is registrations, $5 a person. And contact Township office or info at doylestownpa.org for more information. Halloween is October 26th at Doylestown Dog Park, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's over on Turk Road, if you don't know where it is. If you'd like to participate in the Halloween contest, where you come in dressed like your dog, feel free to contact and get on the list. Trick or Treat at Kids Castle, October 26, 2013 in Central Park, 1:30 p.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. It's a safe thing. It's pre-K, which little kids through to 6th grade, and you're supposed to wear your costumes. Native tree planting, native trees and shrubs, November 4th at the Activity Center, 6:30 p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. I'm going to learn about it. It's a come learn conversation. Registration, unfortunately, we have to charge is $5 per person. Please contact our office or email us at info@doylestownpa.org. Leaf and yard waste recycling for Doylestown Township residents. The drop-off is every third Saturday of the month, March through December, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the New Britain Road entrance to Central Park. Daylight savings ends on Sunday, November 3rd. Remember to turn your clocks back an hour and replace your batteries in your smoke detectors. Next item on the agenda, approval of the minutes for the Board of Supervisors for October 1st.
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions, comments, changes? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
At this time, I'd like to announce that Ryan Mannion has a fairly serious medical condition that's going to require her to be bedridden for 6 weeks. So we won't be seeing her here physically, but she will be nonetheless participating from her bed in Township business. So I ask that you keep her in your thoughts and prayers, and she does intend to come back. So we'll see her soon. Notice of resignations and retirements. There's a letter from Mike Sturgeon, who's an employee, and we have to accept.
He's retiring, yes. He will be retiring December 20th, 2013. He's enjoyed 14 years of working with the Township. We'll recognize him in December officially, but wanted to bring that to the board's attention that he is officially retiring.
We don't need to.
No, I don't have to do that.
He's the guy who cleans the windows and sets the chairs and moves the tables around and keeps everything clean and spanking and looking good. So he's going to be greatly missed. We have a resignation, unfortunately, from Kevin Brand to the EAC, and email from Tyler Tomlinson, who's also resigning from the Kids Castle. Is there a motion to accept those two resignations?
With regrets, I will make a motion to accept those two resignations.
A second, please.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
With regret? Thank you. And we'll send a letter thanking them for their service. Reports from the solicitor.
I have nothing to report at the moment, Madam Chairperson.
Chief?
Nothing at this time.
Chief's wearing, they have new uniforms, redesigned by the chief himself. I don't know if anybody noticed, but they look awesome.
Yeah, you have a little show
They
up.
needed new uniforms anyway, so it's not like they went out and did a no wardrobe change or
He's a
anything.
handsome fella.
Engineer.
Nothing at this time.
Okay, managers provided us with the Doston Township Municipal Authority Safety and Health Manual. This is something that the staff has worked very diligently on, has produced an excellent rendition of health and safety for all of us. It's readable. I can't say it's too interesting, but it is comprehensive, and it is very, legible.
Yes.
So it's user-friendly. So I congratulate the staff for a good job.
And we just want the board to acknowledge it as you have and know that from time to time, staff will be making updates to the document, but this is the original document as presented.
Yeah, and if anyone of you wants to review our safe and healthy procedures, this is available for your review at Township, during Township business hours. Okay, next item on the agenda, Supervisors. Rick?
That's all right. I'd like to welcome everyone, including Ryan, whose house she's going to keep in touch as she's watching on Channel 22 if you have Comcast, or 31 if you have Verizon. So if you think you missed anything tonight, for next 2 weeks at noon and 7 p.m., you can tune in your TV station and listen and see how things really went. The other thing I'd like, because I see some residents in the audience, I'd like to thank the chief and the police. They were very happy to see police activity on Valley and Rogers Road. In fact, we even had an offer. Someone offered home-cooked meals. If your officers are allowed to take lunch there and eat in the car, they welcome them to take their lunch at their neighborhood. So, in all seriousness, I got a lot of compliments.
It's nice to hear. We have been spending a lot of time over there. So.
Well, it's been noticed. The residents have noticed it. So, on behalf of the residents, thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all I have.
Tom?
Yes, I just want to say we had our second budget meeting this afternoon at 4 o'clock, and I guess the most exciting part of that all is we still project no tax increase, which I'm very excited about, and the township's certainly running well and doing well, and hopefully we get within the next 2 years we're going to have the debt paid off for the park, and we'll have that money coming in to give us more income to work with and do good things, and maybe, who knows, maybe we even have a tax decrease or something. So, anyway, that's my excitement.
Sean?
Well, nothing as exciting as a tax decrease, but just that I'll remind everybody again and reiterate what Barbara said about the Halloween event, because I'll say I do attend that, and I have had the pleasure of judging it. You don't need to dress like your dog, though. Maybe suggested you can just bring the family out. It is a lot of fun for dog lovers especially, but a real fun for the kids. I know my kids like it, and if it's good weather especially, it's a good time. Otherwise, a lot of good stuff going on with the Bike and Hike Committee, which we met this morning, and just an example of a lot of good volunteers and a lot of people who put a lot of time into something, what they can get out of it, what we can do. So I encourage you, if you want to get involved, you've heard me and other people on the board mention before, if there's any vacancies on any boards, check it out. You might find you can contribute somehow. So that's all. Just encourage that.
Good idea.
Thank you, Barbara.
Yeah, sure. And the board has concluded its budget work sessions. The next thing that's going to happen with the 2014 budget is that a preliminary production will be produced on November 15th at our next meeting, and we will pass on that preliminary budget and hang it for 30 days, and then it will be moved then to final approval, presuming that there's no comment or changes greater than 10% on the bottom line from anything that may occur or be suggested following the hanging. So we're done with the discussions. Everything's gone very well. Thank again our Ways and Means Committee with their expertise that help us shepherd the township to a good financial position, and to our administrative personnel who have worked really diligently to look at the resources do the work that needs to be done and do it so efficiently and well. All right, next, and the other thing I have is, I provided the members with a draft of a letter that I asked that we send on behalf of Delaware Valley College, who is looking to get university status, and it needs Doylestown Township support. So if it's all right with the members, I've given you a draft of a letter that I will send from the board, from the people of Doylestown Township, in support of the college becoming a university.
I
So,
will make that in the form of a motion, I guess we do.
well, you don't need a motion, but
Okay.
thank you for
Well,
that anyway. I think we have consensus.
All right,
Thank you,
consensus.
will do.
We should
Thank
do
you.
that, yes.
Next item on the agenda, performance grant for the recycling and your agreement that has been provided to us.
Yes, this is a continuation of a grant with Huff and Associates. They work to help us acquire as much performance grant in our recycling efforts in the township. We were very successful last year. Their portion that they take we're proposing to budget at $3,055.14 in 2014. And as you can see, the years from 2000 to present, with having them help us, certainly increased our allocation there. So I'd recommend that the board authorize that.
Is there a motion to approve the recycling performance grant?
I'll make that motion. Move for approval?
Is there a second, please?
Yes, second.
Any conversation, discussion? Anything from you guys? Seeing, hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, following that is the Penndot traffic signal application for Kutz School.
Yes.
The flasher.
Yes, this is the flasher on 611, was damaged in a accident. We have insurance money that we've been able to recover and would ask that we be able to utilize that to replace it and upgrade it with solar. And we have the application that has to go to Penndot.
Is there a motion to approve the application?
So moved.
Okay, great. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Questions? We're going to flash with solar.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. On Treasurer's Report from October 15th. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Questions? Concerns? None? All in favor?
Aye.
And the bills list for October 15th.
Move for approval.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Land Development from the Pavilion at Doylestown.
By way of background, I'm sure most of you in the audience and out there and watching on television realize that this location, which is at the quadrant of Rogers Road, 313, and 263, has been the subject of many different options and proposals and suggestions and plans, and I can't tell you how long it's been going since the original one was approved as Levering Mill. The last application was denied by the Township, and that matter is on appeal by the applicant, so the board will not be discussing the old application because it's in litigation. Also, this tonight is an opportunity for the applicant to show members of the public what they're up to at the moment. And the Board of Supervisors will not be approving anything tonight. It's just a matter of an opportunity for them to make a presentation to the board, to the Planning Commission members that are here, and to the public, and to answer any questions from the public, and maybe the board has questions, and then we'll find out whether it goes to the Planning Commission for further vetting or what takes place thereafter. So there will be no official action taken tonight. It's your opportunity to ask questions. Mr. Murphy?
Good evening, thanks. I'm Ed Murphy. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant. Following me as part of the presentation will be Sam Costanzo, who is the managing member of the Pennsylvania operation of Van Cleef, headquartered in Doylestown, and Phil Worsta, who is the project traffic consultant. Jeff's right. I've been fortunate enough not to have been tortured by the past history of this, but I understand it's been largely acrimonious, etc., and many plans have been floated before.
I would say acrimonious, fits and starts, and everything else you could imagine.
Right. And as Jeff said, the last plan that was in front of this board, the board did reject this past summer, and it's on appeal. But we're not here tonight to talk about that. We're here tonight to talk about a new plan that's been conceived with the help of the new project consultants, and which differs significantly in terms of its use from the prior plan. As everybody knows, this project is split zoned. There is 5 separate parcels, slightly more than 17 acres, 4 of which are zoned commercial, 1 of which is zoned limited industrial. In the past, that's been a challenge for how you would redevelop the site. But tonight, we're here to present an overview of a new sketch plan, as Jeff indicated, that we think has merit. We'd like to think, after conversation, that the board and the public, and especially those neighbors on Rogers Road that have been very interested in the past plans, think so as well. So I'd like Sam to present to you an overview of what is the principal elements of this plan, and then we'll have Phil talk about the traffic components. I would mention that I exchanged voicemails today with counsel to the congregation on Rogers Road, and she indicated that from what she knew of the plan, that she was satisfied or pleased with it because it maintains the interconnection to 263 that the congregation has long been interested in. And I am aware, and Phil will talk about this a little bit more, that I guess the congregation's effort to try to get a signal at Rogers in 263 was unsuccessful because it didn't meet the warrants. But Phil can talk about what we're proposing on 263 and how that may impact the congregation's efforts down the road. So I guess with that as background, I'd have Sam come up and review with the board the plan.
Okay, thanks, Ed.
I don't know if let me just say good morning, good evening, Madam Chairperson.
No, we're not good morning here.
Start over again. Good morning.
Good evening, Sam.
Good evening.
And who's with
It's been a long
you?
time since I've been before
That's
the board.
true, it's true.
I see a lot of familiar faces, and I'm happy to report as of this last June, is there a moving mic? That I'm a resident of Doylestown Township.
I don't know where they're moving.
No? Stationary?
Sandra, is there a moving
coming
mic?
out with a mobile mic right now.
Here she comes.
Sam, who's the gentleman with you?
Scott Mill is with me this evening. He's a landscape architect from our firm. He worked with me on the project. As Ed pointed out...
Nice to meet you, Scott.
Thank you.
You can just put this in your pocket. You're right.
Thank you. Pocket. As Ed pointed out, we're new to this project, as it seems like it's had a long history, something I've read about mostly, but no involvement. We were engaged this past year in 2013, and we began starting with the project. We had some history of it and tried to keep in mind some of the sensitive thoughts in the past. Behind you is a black and white print. We have a rendering, and we have the exhibit on the screen as well, which is difficult to see. But what's before you is an existing features plan. And to the top of the page for orientation is 313. To the right is 263. Both those roads are arterial roads. And to the south is Rogers Road. Thank you. Rogers Road, which is a sub-collector. Again, this is an existing features plan. As in Bucks County throughout, you have a lot of regulated natural features, floodplain, wetlands, steep slopes, woodlands. It's pretty commonplace. This site's essentially devoid of all those regulated natural features, with the exception of the treed areas. And that's what you can see with this exhibit, the trees. There's only a 4.2-acre portion of the site that constitutes woodlands from our inspections of it. That is the portion which is regulated. Beyond that, going around the perimeter to the north is the Getty, up at the top, Scott. And then going down along 263, you have single families, and then Hendrickson's Furniture Store. And then across the street from that, you have Furlong Lamp on our side, Plastic Media, the church at the direct corner, right? And further down on Rogers Road, you don't see it today, but or on this exhibit, but Temple Judea, the recently constructed temple, is situated right across our site. And everything to the west is large lot, single-family residential. As Ed pointed out, one of the Difficulties or challenges with a site is the split zoning. It's limited industrial and commercial, which is hugging the arterial roads. And another challenge, whenever you have non-residential against residential, you have some challenges there as well to contend with the difference in uses. That's pretty much the surrounding area. We can go to the next slide. See, this is the part back. Thank you. This is a rendering of our site placed within the borders of our site, which was 17.4-acre tract. What you're seeing in gray is our parking, blacktop areas, and access aisles. In brown, the 5 rectangular buildings, they represent buildings. Green is undeveloped land, and you can see most of what we were trying to do with this plan is provide as much greenery as we could adjacent to the residential district on that westerly tract boundary. Access to the site, which Phil Worsta, who's here, will go into more detail, but you can see we have a one-way coming in off of 313, which acts as a spine road coming through our site. It actually extends all the way out to Rogers Road. That one last leg of Rogers is one way in, but that driveway is directly aligned with the most westerly driveway of the recently constructed Temple Judea. So that was intentional. The 5 buildings, up at the corner we have the proposed CVS with its associated parking. More in the center, just south of that is a bank. Further south of that is a multi-retail building. In the center of the site, another multi-retail. And then we have a daycare closest to Rogers Road. The site is proposed to be served by on-lot sewage and water. We'll be working closely with Dick John, the fire marshal, and your authority engineer, Fred Ciantoni, to work out the particulars on serving this site from a domestic and fire from a water standpoint. But Del Val Soils, who was engaged on this site years ago and was recently activated again to do some more testing, they've done some partial hydrogeological testing for the well. We show a well on our site, up in that upper quadrant, thank you, and sewage disposal. Their best soil testing was found to be along Rogers Road, and with a large area to serve as a sand mound constructed facilities, but that's where the best soils were found for that purpose. Our office in arranging this, I should go back, Scott, to the Spine Road coming off of 313. That comes up to a major intersection internal to our site to the boulevard entrance coming off of Route 263. And again, Phil will talk more about that. After we developed the concept plan, we just didn't stop there. We went forward with proposed grading and stormwater management to see whether we can get all the components to work. This site's within your Neshaminy Creek watershed, District B. Drainage from the site flows in 2 directions. Probably of the 17 acres, about a 5-acre watershed drains to a culvert under 263, and about 11 or 12 drains towards Rogers Road to what is a swale or a side road ditch along that. Our side of the road is not improved yet with curb. Like Temple Judea, you'd see on the other side has a little bit of widening and curb and storm sewer. But we sized all the stormwater management components on this site, so we're comfortable in that they fit. The regulations, one positive thing in taking so long with this site, the regulations on stormwater management have become more sensitive to the environment, so flows and rate reductions and volume controls and water quality all are factored in today, and we feel good about that. Del Val did some extensive testing with the soils, and a lot of those probes are indicated on our plans. That really is it. I can go into more specifics to the square footages of buildings and associated parking.
Why don't you talk about the buffers and the setbacks from the
Buffers, I will.
boundary road?
Well, they're along the westerly tract boundary. To our closest building, we're about 200 and 75. Did I get that right? 282 feet is our closest corner to a building. So again, keeping that greenway was important. We have a 100-foot setback off of that westerly tract boundary line, which we're respecting. There are other buffer criterias around the perimeter of the site, which we can talk about, as certain reliefs are needed relative to some of those. And this plan depicts the anticipated relief in dealing with the mixed zoning that you have on the site. We're trying to move everything away from residential, and with the mixed zoning, you get some relief that would be needed to support this plan.
You might mention how large the buildings are, just because it would be appropriate for the public to hear that.
The large multi-retail in the center is a 24,043 square foot building. Up at the corner, the CVS is a 10,794 square foot building. The bank, 3,060 square feet. Proposed retail building B, the multi-tenant, yes, is 12,500 square feet, and the daycare is 10,272 square feet.
How many?
10,272 square feet.
Thank you.
Parking is arranged more of a overall site allotment. Each of the individual uses generally comply. Daycare is one of the ones that, in most cases, when we design those and meeting ordinance requirements, it tends to overpark your daycare, but we have enough parking on site where employees can use the adjacent nearby spaces of the multi-retail. Landscaping, we're depicting more intense buffering along that westerly tract boundary. Everything else you see, even the buffering that we're putting up against, away from the tract boundary, but directly behind our multi-retail, was important for us to do as well, as we thought, as screenery. We can go into detail of the type of relief.
I have a question before you do that. Well, how does the spine road work from 313 through the complex? Does it go to Rogers Road?
It does go out to Rogers Road. We have Scott, point to the last, we'll start from Rogers a minute. This right now, we have it shaped for a two-way, but we're intending to post it unless the township thinks otherwise, as being a one-way in only, coming off of Rogers. And then everything else is two-way traffic internally.
But the spine road from 313 could ingress and egress through the whole complex and go out onto Rogers Road? No.
Not with it being one-way. We're proposing
Only
this being one-way in.
Okay.
So people at 313 would come up to the major intersection with our boulevard entrance and can
have to
get
go out
out
on
to
263.
The
Yes.
prior plans that we had seen contemplated that one stretch from Rogers Road to the internal portion of the site being one way. I don't know that Phil thinks that's a wise idea, but we didn't change it. We assumed that might be the topic of further conversation among the board, planning commission, neighbors, but we just sort of went to school based on the last plan, so...
I
don't know where that's going to
what Sam was saying about I just want some clarification on that. Thank you. Any questions from the members?
Well, the presentation's not over yet.
Oh, it isn't?
Mr. Wurst is going to have a...
Do you really have to do this? Okay. Yeah, come on up, Phil.
Questions for Sam.
Yeah, any questions for Sam before he sits down? Okay.
I'll just be right
Yeah,
here.
you'll be here.
I'll be here.
You're not going far. Hi, Philip.
Hello. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a little odd being on this side of the fence, so to speak, but
We agree.
rest assured you have a friendly face on this side. But unlike the rest of the design team, I have had probably as much exposure to this plan as anybody in the room, as my previous role as Township traffic engineer. I pointed out to the team that the traffic issues were pretty much set almost back to the Levering Mill days as far as what improvements would be required and so forth. And then the iterations associated with this plan, as well as the, I guess, contemporary development of the of Temple Judea, made some mild adjustments, and I'll explain them a little bit more. But again, as Sam had suggested, and Scott, if you could point things out as I go, perhaps just a little bit, there'll be a right-in access off of 313. There'll be two driveways on 263. Full access, well, that one is a right-in, right-out only, coming from Buckingham into the site, and a right-out. Then moving down south, we're going to have a full access point that is a wide driveway, and it'll have a traffic signal. When you come on Rogers Road, that, as we just discussed, is to be signed and painted as a one-way in. My recollection, I think it's pretty accurate, was essentially a give-back associated with residential concerns tied in with the Temple Judea piece of property, that would be a one-way in, so people that utilize the Grasso site in any fashion, whether it's warehouse, retail, anything, would not be able to come out that way and go up Rogers Road. As a traffic engineer, I think that the distribution of that traffic is very important, specifically for Rogers Road folks that might use the site. So, in any event, it'll be built as a two-way, or as far as the width, but it'll be signed and promoted as a one-way in. So, Temple Judea traffic can come directly across and exit at a traffic signal. Folks that live on Rogers Road can come down Rogers Road, make a left into the site, and utilize the traffic signal to safely get out on 263. All in all, very good plan with regard to access and safety. The biggest improvement, though, is along 263, which involves the addition of a center left turn lane from the one that exists at Edison Furlong all the way down and through the intersection of 313. As you know, right now it's 2 lanes in each direction, and you make left turns from the passing lane. That'll change, and it'll have a left turn lane there, as well as a new traffic signal. Again, another large safety improvement that's part of this project. That's pretty much it with regard to the traffic flow and operations here. It hasn't changed through many iterations and demands from the former township traffic engineer, the applicant, that's been passed along to this design team. So it's a good project that way. I expressed an issue that I would love to see that thing as a two-way traffic instead of one-way, so people can get in and out on Rogers Road. But certainly that'll be a flexible issue if the board ever decides to change that, or the folks on Rogers Road would like to change that. It'll be all set to do if you wanted to. And that's all I have. If there's any questions.
Do you have any questions of Bill or the project in general?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, we'll take some questions from any of you. If you're going to question, you've got to come up, identify yourself, and speak to the microphone. Anyone?
There's a hand back there.
You can't see back there. Yeah, that's fine.
My name is Ann Woodbury. I'm at 680 Spring Valley Road. I have a question about why all the existing vegetation that's there would be removed if you're going to use that as a buffer anyway. There's a bunch of trees and stuff already there. It looks like you've got grass, basically.
We've done, like I said earlier, we generated an overall grading plan for the entire site, and to keep a balanced site, We did do some tree clearing in that direction. I don't think many of those constituted woods, but there was this upper section up top here that was woods, and that's why a great portion of our disturbance is related to those. But it was relative to keep the site graded and well balanced. But we can certainly take another look.
Well, one thing for water flow mitigation is to have vegetation that's already established and already there, rather than taking that away, regrading, as you're saying, and planting grass. It doesn't seem like a very good option when there's already vegetation in place.
Well, we haven't completed the landscaping plan. There'll probably likely be more landscaping. There's a caliber inch category. When you disturb so many caliber inches in Doylestown Township, there's consideration for those trees to be replaced, and those are enumerated on our plans. We just don't depict those trees coming back on this plan today, but we need to incorporate other landscaping yet.
Okay. Do you know for sure that you would get a Penndot approval for the traffic light?
Which
The traffic light
The
onto
traffic light,
263, I'm sorry.
Bill can address that.
Yes.
Even though there's a light at the two corners, they'll put another one in the middle.
Yes.
Okay. And is there any, there was on one of the former plans, we've been through a lot of them, a cell tower, is that still part of this project?
No.
Okay. And I just wanted to make a comment to the board. Thank you for actually being a governing body that's working. Thank you. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. Thank you for noticing. You may have noticed a certain section of the audience while you were speaking about the entrance and exit on Rogers Road. They were all laughing. It wasn't because they were happy about it. Mayor Krajewski? We our concern all along, and I think I can speak for a lot of people in the audience, is that Rogers Road will become the cut-through for everybody that wants to use all those stores. So that if you have a one-way in without any provision, and there has been a wonderful provision so far, when you come out of Temple Judea, there is a sign that says you can't go up Rogers Road. And that has been marvelous. We have really appreciated that. What we would like to see is some provision so that, and I don't know how that would be worked out, but people coming down Rogers Road, we have had for years speeding problems. They've reduced the speed. Doesn't done much good. People still speed. We do not want our neighborhood to be ruined with lots and lots of traffic coming down to try to come into the shopping center from there. And it's a really big barrier to what we want to see happen to our neighborhood. And we are challenging you to come up with some sort of a solution whereby we do not have to face that. We have not had to have a problem with Temple Judea, and we don't want to have a problem with this. The other question, and this is a technical, really technical question, we went through a whole great big lawsuit and appeals and everything else over the size of the CVS, which was more than 10,794, I gather, since the...
My recollection was closer to 13,000.
Well, that's what I mean, that the suit was settled.
Well, no, the suit wasn't settled. The township won that suit.
Yeah, well,
Right.
that settles it. So that CVS had to come back with a smaller size.
They had. Well, this is the first opportunity we've seen that they're down from
Okay.
13,000 to
Yeah.
Our ordinance requires no larger than 10,000
For what?
for a
Single use.
CVS type of structure.
Okay. My question, of course, is the obvious one. The 24,000, what are the regulations that govern something like that?
That would be permitted because it's not one separate, it's a sort of like a shopping center design of separate units connected. The single self-contained building has a limitation of 10,000 square feet. But if you are stringing a row of individual retail shops together, it can be larger than 10,000 square feet.
How large?
I don't know off the top of my head. Judy's here, maybe she knows.
It's based on the impervious
Surface.
on the impervious surface and what you can physically fit on the site with the other zoning requirements.
Did everyone hear that?
She said basically there's no set limit except the site can only support so much coverage because you have impervious surface ratios, parking requirements, stormwater, and all that sort of thing. The 10,000 limitation is for a freestanding building. That's why the CVS takes it, because it's not divided into various, shops.
And the same applies then to the other smaller commercial?
Yes, same applies. It's governed by the site itself.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions from anyone?
Hi, Pierre Menard, One Old Nursery. So just based off your comments at the front, Jeff, so I just want to make sure that the board doesn't make haste or try to go too quick with this plan, just because we have been discussing it for a while. I guess my recollection of why we have been discussing it for a while is really because the plans that have been presented have gone well beyond what the zoning allows. And so I don't mind actually taking the time to build the right thing for this property. So having said that, this particular plan, in my view, as an adjacent property owner, is probably the best plan that I've seen to date. I will note that there are perhaps a dozen or so variances listed on the plan. And so I think there's still a tendency to overbuild on the property, in particular the large retail, 24,000 square foot. So I had a question about water runoff and where would that go, and the sand mound. As an adjacent property owner, I'll be basically right here, and I'm just curious about like smells and things like that. So how is that normally accounted for?
Well, I did go by your site. I noticed your site when I wanted to take a look at stormwater runoff, how the adjoiner was. It appears that you have a stormwater management facility in the front of your property capturing water. I don't know exactly when that was constructed, but I didn't walk on your property, but I could see like a PVC pipe that must be acting as the drain towards a box that you have in your yard, and then it connects to the storm sewer piping within the street adjacent to you. As I mentioned earlier, there's two distinct watersheds on this site. In heading towards Rogers, of the 17 acres, it's closer to 11 or 12 acres, and we have two stormwater management facilities in that area to offset the concerns of stormwater. And I did make it a point to mention, since in the last 8 years or so, stormwater management is becoming a number one type of concern. The ordinances have changed to reflect that, and there's some substantial release rate reductions that one has to do today to offset concerns about stormwater. So some of those, whether this makes sense to you, like, for example, a 100-year storm event in post-development now needs to meet the 50-year storm event pre-developed rate. So, and all the storms have to be treated that way. So we're going to be doing more testing to see how much more infiltration we can get, but we're trying to get some into the ground and do some other BMPs on site to offset runoff. But you have a side road ditch along Rogers. I anticipate, after working with the township, if it moved forward into a land development state, that we'd be talking about some improvements and how to connect stormwater runoff to those improvements on Rogers.
Okay. So I do want to note, though, that every year I do get a swimming pool in my front yard. So there is pretty significant water runoff already. So this could potentially just add to it, right? So,
but we're going to be capturing our water so it doesn't. This site actually drains in sheet flow fashion mostly down towards Rogers Road. There's not a defined ditch or bank or an escape, really, of a massive amount to your rear yard, which looks like it swirls around to the front. It captures and swirls to the front. I don't know if that basin really is serving just your lot or the neighborhood on that cul-de-sac street, but I did make note of it.
Okay. And what about the smells?
The septic, it's a sand mound, just like many of you may have conventional or sand mounds. I didn't take notice of all yours. I noticed you have a well, though, close to the site.
I do.
Which we made sure we met the 100-foot isolation distance from your well in laying out that septic to be beyond that. So, but as far as concerns go, I can't imagine being anything different than a residential sand mound type system.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Pierre, just so you I can clarify any comment, we have seen, you're correct, a lot of these development proposals. But this is the first time either staff or any of the members have seen this one. So I don't want you to think that we've had a look-see at this before tonight. None of us have.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, I wasn't implying that.
Okay, thanks.
Speaker also questioned the number of variances that the plan, we tried to be transparent and show on the sketch what were listed. I think you heard Scott or Sam mention the fact that most of them are a function of us trying to move the buildings closer to the boundary roads and away from the Rogers Road neighbors. There may be a couple that we can tweak and maybe possibly eliminate. Sam and I were talking about that, but we can, if you'd like tonight or if tonight's premature, we can go through some of the variances that we've identified and try to explain the rationale or justification.
I would think, why don't you wait till you finish tweaking it so that we're not talking about things that may be possibilities.
Right, and I think we can make everyone comfortable that we're trying to do it to try to create as much separation between the residences and the commercial areas.
Joe O'Malley, Rogers Road. I'm a traffic well, whatever. But
Vigilante? Is that what you were going for?
I have to concur with what Mary Lou said about Rogers Road being a cut-through road. And I see the traffic light that you're proposing making it even worse. I have, on numerous occasions, followed people on Rogers Road to see where they go, if they're neighbors. Because I was on the Traffic Advisory Committee, and most people say they're always people in the neighborhood, not people from any place else. And I can tell you they don't. Everyone that I have followed have gone into town. They either go over Windover Lane and then over to East Street and then into town, or they travel Spring Valley Road over to Green Street and then into town. So they're not really neighbors or residents who are using that, or very local, okay? Or like on Spring Valley Road, residents there, it's not them. It's people who live outside the neighborhood. And I really do believe that traffic light is going to be bad. Now, whether that's going to be your problem or it's their problem, because if you can't do anything and they can't do anything, I'm going to be here every 2 weeks crying the blues. So I think it's important that you'd either try to do something about that. And the way I see it, it's I don't know what you can do. I can tell you people drive on that road at 65 miles an hour. I have followed them, breaking the law. They have passed me doing 25 miles an hour. It's a serious, serious issue, and I hope everyone takes it seriously. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Judy, did you want to say anything? Tom Kelso with the Township Bike and Hike Committee and Planning Commission. And the Planning Commission hasn't seen this yet either. We were given a courtesy copy of the plan, but it hasn't been discussed there. But I did have the opportunity this morning to talk to the Bike and Hike Committee about it. And I think there are some issues here. Number one, I think the Bike and Hike Committee wanted to see some connection from a pedestrian standpoint to Buckingham Township and the neighborhoods. Right now, you're not showing any pedestrian facilities along any of the roads. And I think that's something you have to take into consideration. We've talked about it with past plans, and I think it's important. The Bike and Hike Committee has sort of a plan for Furlong, for the commercial part of it, to make that a little more pedestrian-friendly.
Have they seen that?
I don't think they
Well,
were
you
ever
will-
before
you
the
will.
Bike and
You'll
Hike
share
Committee,
one.
but I think that's something that needs to be worked on. And I think the other issue, perhaps, is just the appearance of it from the road. And I don't know if you've done any renderings yet, but I think that's something that, when it comes in front of the Planning Commission, I'm sure we'll be spending some time on that, too. And then just my water and sewer hat. One thing that is a concern to me is just placing the stormwater basin directly up gradient of your sewage system. I think that's something you have to think about. And when Del Val's designing that, you're going to, I think, have to take a serious look at that and see if there is a better way to do it. So, and you're not showing any fire protection at this point from a water supply standpoint? The last plan had a water tank on it, and I don't see that on this plan.
We're looking to meet with Fire Marshal and Richard John and Fred Ciantoni and go through that to meet fire and domestic.
Yep, that's all I have. Thank you. Jimmy, did you have anything?
No, that was really it. We were talking about that pedestrian circulation being addressed. Is that something we're trying to do, community-wide, to connect the dots? And we would like to see this integrated with that as well.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Jim Bingley Furlong, Cookie Lane. Sam, have you done any of the tree calculations for, how many caliber inches of trees you're taking down?
At the bottom of our plan, we have tree preservation calculations, and we do show the total amount of caliber inches required to be preserved and the total amount of caliber inches proposed. And there's about 1,000 caliber inches that are coming down.
Aren't there trees that are out by 263 behind where the lamp factory is and where a couple of those buildings are that are of a caliber that you're not allowed to take down, or you're only allowed to take down 10% of?
Scott, do you recall? There are that. That's true. That's true.
And you have buildings there or whatever, so you're planning on taking them down?
To support this layout, yes.
So you would need a waiver for that?
It's certainly a discussion item with the township and to resolve, yes.
Stephanie, when they cut all the trees down, how much more of this property would have been woodlands, considered woodlands? I think Sam said there was a little over 4 acres of woodlands, and you're only allowed to disturb half of it. How many would there have been if he wouldn't have taken the trees down?
I was thinking, I don't have it right off the top of my head. I know Judy's here. Probably would have been another acre or so, probably. Judy?
Two separate issues. Those trees were sporadically placed throughout the site. It was 59 trees total taken down. As I know you're aware, Mr. Bingler.
Yeah.
9 inches.
Judy,
all around.
Judy, you got to come up. I'm sorry to make you schlep, but
I'll come stand up.
Sandra's going to come out and knife my...
Come on, we'll share the microphone.
I didn't want to be too close to Sam. He's going to There were two separate issues. One was that the tree violation, essentially 69 trees, an average of 9 inches in caliper, and the judge settled that there were replacement trees required. But they were placed or located sporadically throughout the site, so there was no acreage for the amount taken down. But the second part is that the 4.24 acres of woodland I think you have on the site, we did a site visit when the prior plans were submitted a couple summers ago, and we calculated significantly more woodlands on the site. So when they come in for land development, we'll be looking closely at that calculation. We think there's a bit more woodland on the site right now than the 4.24, but that'll come out as the plans are developed.
Okay.
And will those trees be replanted, Judy, that were the 69 trees that... I know they paid a fine, and they were supposed to replace trees, which were never...
I don't remember the nuances of that.
Yeah, I don't either, Jeff. That's why I was asking.
But we'll certainly check, and that'll be part of any continuing dialogue about this.
Yeah, there's still an open issue.
Okay. I just know when Sam was saying that it was up at the top part is where the woodlands are. There's, I believe, woodlands in this area over there. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Mary?
I couldn't tell any of my neighbors to come up and ask this question, so I'm at it again. What type of commercial establishment are you planning for those two buildings? Can you give us some examples of what might be there?
In the strip
Tattoo
places?
parlor? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
I don't know that we can give you a
Tattoo
specific
parlors
answer
are common.
tonight. I think what has been shared with us is service-oriented retail. So what's that mean? I think it means your typical neighborhood type of
Salons?
dry cleaner, things like that. I mean, more service-oriented type of retail. Again, will be controlled as well by the size of the septic system as well, so we're going to be limited in terms of what we can do in terms of uses that would generate a lot of water. So,
Food service?
don't know yet, but if it would, it'd probably have to be small, so I don't know the answer to that yet tonight.
And no alcohol?
Yeah, food stuff. Yeah.
I couldn't
That was
comment on
another
that.
issue.
There are no liquor licenses
Lighter,
available in
yeah.
the township at this point, so...
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, one last one? Well, I don't want to cut anybody off.
Hi, Dave Zepley, 7 Old Nursery Way. I'm in enjoying property in this area. I guess two of my main concerns are noise and light pollution.
Come to the mic. Can you come to the mic a little bit? Thank you.
I guess two of my main concerns are noise and light pollution. And I guess I'm wondering if there's any, indication of, how you're going to position and address the lighting so that it doesn't flood into my backyard and, affect my ability to peacefully enjoy my property.
Well, this township, no different than many townships, do regulate that lighting and overflow lighting, so we're not to have overflow lighting, so anything adjacent to you would be shielded in some fashion. There's not a lot of parking in the rear there where we do have to illuminate our parking area, but it's certainly something we can address and provide shielding.
Okay. At what point do you,
Use the
add
mic.
that? Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
At what point in the process do you add that level of detail?
Usually during the land development stage, but we'll be finding out as we move forward, and if we are moving forward with the Planning Commission and seek their recommendations, and you'll be able to provide input as well.
Okay, thank you. Well, I guess is there anything that can be said about addressing the potential noise that would be generated from that site, from trucks picking up trash, trucks making deliveries, backing up?
I think the township has regulations that control the timing of when those deliveries could occur. Remember, too, that I think, and I thought I heard Sam say, the closest point from the boundary line to any building is almost a full football field. In some places, it's more. So that's to the boundary line. To your home would probably be even greater distance. So, but I do think, I understand the beep, 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 and...
Noise travels pretty freely through, unless there's a solid barrier.
I'll defer to the township staff. I think they have limitations and controls on when deliveries could occur, and we have some ability to control that as well, so that we don't do it at night. We can do it early in the morning or whenever would be more convenient.
We made a note of that issue, too.
Right. Thank you.
Right.
Seems to me the next time we'll see this as a planning commission, and everybody, of course, will get notification, and we'll see what happens.
I assume that's the direction you'd like us to go, take the plan, listen to what we heard tonight and notes about, and go to the planning commission?
I do agree.
If that's what you want to do.
Well, if you think the plan has merit, that's what we'll do.
I think it's not ready to come back to the board yet.
Oh, no.
No, so I think that's the way you should proceed.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioners Murphy, Costanza, Worcester, and Mills, thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. And any other comment about, other than that? Brossard Development.
Just one comment, that when they come on the agenda for the Planning Commission, which is the fourth Monday, notifications will go out to the list of
There are
people.
300 people that
300 people, it'll be on the website, et cetera, so that's when kind of the rubber meets the road, if you will, for more of the details. So I look forward to seeing all of you at that meeting, because I will be there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, members of the Planning Commission that were here tonight. That was very helpful. Thank you, Judy, for being here. Okay, back to the announcements. Okay, we're next meeting on November 15th. We will be producing a preliminary budget for hanging at that meeting. We're going to be closed on November 5th for Election Day and November 11th for Veterans Day. Pumpkin Fest 2013 is Saturday, October 19th at the Moravian Pottery and Tile Works, 12 p.m. to 10 p.m., $20 a carload. Autumn Birdwalk, October 26, 2013, Central Park Pavilion, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., $5 registration per person, and contact info@doylestownpa.org for more information. Halloween, I don't care, dress like your dog, October 26, 2013, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and if you want to participate, if you want a spot in the lineup of the parade, contact doylestownpa.org. Trick or Treat at Kids Castle sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun from pre-K to 6th grade only. Parents, you can't get out there and pretend you're 14 or whatever, 10. Nobody other than pre-K to 6th grade, and costumes are a must. Planting native trees and shrubs lecture discussion at the Activity Center on November 4th at 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. $5 registration fee. Contact us for more information at doylestownpa.org. Leaf and yard waste recycling is every third Saturday of the month from March through December, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., and the drop-off is at the New Britain entrance to Central Park, Township residents only. Daylight savings ends on Sunday, November 3rd. Turn back your clock and replace your batteries and your smoke detectors. Anything else? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.